fans, I'm Ely from knightsofhyrule.org, and this is Kooloo Limpah, the Zelda mailbag where I talk about Zelda in all of its Triforce glory. Ryan says, I have a question about the Gorons. I know there must be female Gorons, but why have we never seen them? Where are they? Since Gorons are rock creatures, maybe it's possible that they don't even give birth to Gorons. Maybe they're just mined out of the caverns. Or maybe they just awkwardly fall off in clumps from the backs of the other Gorons. I don't know. I think the most likely explanation right now anyway is that we just can't tell which Gorons are male and which are female. Seeing that Gorons eat rocks and don't actually drink milk, there's no reason for female Gorons to have mammaries. Therefore, you won't see any boobies on female Gorons. I think that explanation is probably the most likely, mainly because it's similar to stuff we already have in the real world. There are already some animals we can look at and we don't know just by looking at them that they're male or female. We just can't really tell right off the bat. Stewie Gaming says, what changes do you think Nintendo will make to Wind Waker for the remake? Personally, I hope they add those missing dungeons they took out of the original. And because the ones people have been speculating about are things that we've already seen. For instance, they're thinking one of them might be going and exploring inside Jabu, which we already seen in Ocarina of Time when you explore Jabu, so to just be like, we've already done this, why do it again? I do like the idea of extra dungeons, but not something we've already seen before. Of course, there's all the ones people have already mentioned, like making the gamepad completely compatible for the map, for the pictograph, for the tingle tuner. But personally, I don't really think that game needs to be changed that much. I kind of think that game is almost perfect. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, and there are many things that people don't like about it, but in my eyes, I think that game is great how it is. I do like the little touch-up. I don't think it needs it. I think it's pretty. I'll buy it, but I probably won't really do much with it. The only thing I can think of is one, again, that people already mentioned, in making the quest for the Triumph Forks, you know, a little less tedious. I don't know how they go about doing that, but, you know, it's kind of like when it happens, you're already so far into the story, and then you have to do all that. It's just kind of blah. You're like, I just want to get moving and continue my quest, but you have to stop and do all this. That, and it would be really nice if they did orchestrate the music, but I don't think they're going to go that far. Lengard says, should Link to the Past be remade for console or handheld? Well, it all depends on how they want to remake the game and whether it's going to be remade on current consoles. For instance, if it comes out on the 3DS, the handheld we have right now, then, you know, it'd be great if they implemented 3D levels and whatnot. I think it'd be really useful for a top-down game. It wouldn't require that many changes. Personally though, I don't think that game needs to be remade, but if it was, I'd like to see them stick with something artistic like they've been doing lately, and therefore I'd want to see it on a console, mainly because I think the console would have a lot more power and therefore you'd be able to see a lot more pretty stuff. I'm not talking about just high quality HD graphics, I'm just talking about art in general. I think it'd be really nice if we saw something more like this kind of artwork. Something that really captures the top-down style of the game, but in a much more beautiful way that, you know, gets away from sprites. Not that I don't love sprites, I would love to see another sprite game, preferably for a handheld. But for something like A Link to the Past being remade, I think it would really be beneficial to the game itself if it was on a console, and that way we could see pretty stuff. Then Vakia187 says, do you think Zelda Wii U will have DLC? I don't know, possibly, maybe. I think it's more likely that DLC would be on handheld Zelda, but I'm really hoping to see it on the Wii U. In a recent interview with Polygon, Miyamoto had stated that with the Oracle games, they actually intended for those games to be sold in episodes, you could say, and they wanted to sell the game dungeon by dungeon. Now when those games came out, it just really, you know, there wasn't a real way to do that rather than selling cartridge after cartridge after cartridge, and it would be really expensive. But now we have the eShop, we have DLC we've seen for years, so right now we're at a point where this is completely possible and not too expensive. Personally, I think it'd be really great. Certain games like Fire Emblem do it really well. But at the same time, you have to think, if they're going to throw in DLC, then the story can't be that linear. It can't be something like it has been in Skyward Sword. Maybe have a main quest, of course, but then have a whole bunch of different other side quests. The closest thing I can compare that to is something like an Elder Scrolls game where you do get DLC, but you still have that main quest. That's the only way I think they could implement DLC and have it work well without interfering with the story. And with Zelda games so far, story has become very important now. It's not something they can just disregard. So I do think it's possible that Zelda will have DLC. I don't think it's going to be as big as what most of us are thinking of. It's not going to be something like a different ending in Mass Effect. Not something that big. I can't see them doing something like that for Zelda. I think it's going to be maybe little side quests, maybe a dungeon here and there, but nothing that's going to be a huge difference. Most of all, I think Nintendo's going to wait and see how certain games like Luigi's Mansion will handle DLC and how popular it'll be. And then after they get all that information, then they'll probably decide on whether or not they want to do it for Zelda. Okay guys, that's it for this week. I'm sorry I didn't have one last week, but things are really hectic right now. As I said before, and it's been hectic for a while. It'll probably continue to be hectic, but have no fear. I will be back next week, hopefully. If not, I'll put up some Link to Past good playlist awesome sauce stuff, and you can watch that instead. So leave your comments and questions in the section below. Follow on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, all that good stuff. Maybe you'll see me on the Zelda Wii U community. If not, you'll see me here next week. Bye!